Okay, audio only in just the black ambiance, excuse me, of you, the blackness of you, the whiteness of you, and that being not racial. Alongside that, blackening of the energy and the whitening of the energy, perhaps, and that being its own work. There's on the surface level of that is like how the desires could get influenced by other people, how the desires are, curated narrations. Those curated narrations could be casual and more so not casual, some well thought out, some not well thought out casual, some, deeper well thought out than what could be well thought out, and even deeper than that. So, within the desires coursing through, that's just a layer of how you could feel. And how you could feel is it could be influenced. Feelings could be influenced, but you could also have your own feelings. So there could be like, the feelings of just you, yourself, and the feelings of you having some type of unique empathy or not, or however you closed off that empathy. And there it is right there. Some, casual surface level agendas could just numb your empathy, turning you into something of a quote unquote robot, end quote. So within that empathy being kind of numbed out, you're kind of minusing the basic feminine principle of just how to uniquely intuitively receive, and how you uniquely intuit that reception of different things, or not somehow do the opposition of that, numb it out in different ways. It's better to kind of know how your intuition works and operates, so you could actually know like what is of best influence for you and what is curated, narrated influences that aren't necessarily for the best, you know, at the best of you, and just seeing how like as we're more or less recognizing different narrative within like Earth and anything else and beyond Earth, respectively, it's like we're barely kind of like beginning to recognize the different narratives that are brought forth. And that's the thing right there. It's like we're barely recognizing narratives, how they're made, because we're just in a microcosm. But within that microcosm, there's respectively particular microcosms within a microcosm, the planet Earth, right? Just generally, and esoteric scientifically, how it is, within that microcosms within microcosms within microcosms, respectively, then then we forget the deeper system, and we're numb to that esoteric kind of beacon of how we, for better or for worse, we forgot how it is connected to a source, because that's just like we could just kind of like it's because math kind of self-reflects that there is some type of order, and that order energetically creates some type of math in itself, and that math and that order is pointing somehow to one source, more or less. But we're diluting that one source. We could misrepresent that first source, and we could like kind of like, and everything is getting replicated organically or not from that one source. And who's to say if that one source recognizes all that shit, and it and in the future maybe we could prove that it can, or it could prove that it itself could prove to itself, if all is self, as the beautiful predecessor said, and how we all get to kind of download that particular insight of how somehow different things have been preserved. One thing that has been preserved is our ability to come forth and share the message. And as we share the message, obviously a basic principle of energy is like, we really do, you could really see it, we do rise by lifting each other up, because that's a particular type of generation preservation. And a particular type of generation preservation is one thing that is preserved among other things that are preserved, which generates energy, and energy is generated into a unique preservation, and that preservation is creating new different generations of energies and energy generations. The different types of preservation is one particular type of preservation is a community preservation. Us recognizing how we keep we collectively survive and individually survive in one sense, by seeing how there's like a community dynamic, and how that kind of like preserves and uplifts our spirits. If we could so see that, if we could see the uplifting quality and factor within that, aside from how there's just beings who want to just like fuck that shit up, excuse my French, of course, because that's just like, it's just 3D is that immense, it's that extreme. And for me to be so, respectively, quote unquote, graceful, end quote, with the truth, that's another thing. But that's what it is, because 3D is this extreme polarity, 50-50, some secret order, and then, everything else, and how war is somehow like kind of initiated and penciled in this particular equation of particularly looking at it from a higher perspective of, this is what 3D, the third dimension, is hidden foe. This is what it's foe, it's foe, this type of shit, and where things have to play out like this because we signed up to somehow get, particularly steered towards the 3D in itself. However, your individual spirit came here to experience this particular 3D is based on your own casual inner evolution or spiritual evolution, as it already is. And we just finding ourselves on this very unique, secretly orderly platform called the planet Earth, as that is, as it is, as it was, as it will be. The dimensions are doing their thing, and it's based on a unique, quote unquote, lucky, end quote, chance of resonance. And we're all lucky, to just have a chance to like kind of survive, because all the dimensions, it's kind of dictated based on like where you have the opportunity to take your resonance towards a higher place of a resonance, and have that in a different maintenance thereof, and a whole different spiritual preservation thereof. Because a whole different higher preservation is that, and how the dimensions themselves are what they are, and how the dimensions are what they are. That's like, I don't need to explain it here, it's already been explained elsewhere, but you could kind of get a little hint here and there of how that already is. And it doesn't necessarily have to be proven, because it's self-existing. And as that's self-existing, it's only up to you to find out, up to you to take the balanced path or not. And that balanced path, it might, the original God might secretly like, I don't want to use the word test, because it could kind of misconstrue the meaning of it. But it could see if you qualified to like, go through an experiment, it would seem, and our collected resonance, it's like, it's a game of like, many different principles put together. And one of those, significant principles that I'm like, on a very unique, solidified level that I'm finding out, metaphysical, esoteric, solidified level, is one unique spiritual principle that is within the game of reality, the game of, elsewhere, other realities. There is still some factor of patience as well, because it takes time, like for us to participate in a 3D physical reality, for a physical thing to be a physical thing, it takes time for it to grow and unfold from its physicality to a different metaphysicality, respectively. And that metaphysicality of 3D is reflecting a lighter reality of just a higher dimension that's more liquefied, respectively. Shout out to the predecessors. And as we're doing that, we could like our background soul, or our quote unquote original higher self, end quote, it's simultaneously old and new, because it's like its oversoul self could have already done all this shit, but now it's resetting itself just for the sake of its new creation, and now it's new again because it wants to like kind of replay the game as it could have already been replayed millions of years ago, and now it's a new way to replay it. Different things are updated, in like a million years from now it could also, on a paradoxical, metaphysical, crazy ass level, a million years from now, it could still be the same way, particularly according to just how the elements find root and structure in creating of something like an angel body or a human body, and the human body being a standard, like, encapsulated, more intact, impact angel being, because the human is like, it's just per the particular individual unique human, it's what the particular individual human is doing, it's just getting a particular chance to see how it could relate to fucking God, respectively, because God is the order behind any type of context of an angel. God is behind the order of any type of context of Elohim, in respects to, like, the surface level humans who are finding their ancestry and their origins and their roots with that. Because just because like you're a new human, like, everything just varies. It's not to have like a false ego. It's not to get too cocky. It's not to get too like narky and detrimental with the ego. No, there's a real fucking, like, there's like a real universal order that's behind all of this, like, petty shit, because 3D is 50-50 on a metaphysical, esoteric level, meaning there is secret order and there's a particular field of allowed chaos, because that's what the fucking 3D is. We're allowing the fucking, like, somehow some higher creator, like, dimensions above dimensions and beyond dimensions, there's a conscious intelligence that's ordaining different types of preservation, and that preservation only like experimentated and only like given so much to the collective on the 3D, because the 3D collective is reflecting some type of like immaturity against some type of like perfect source. Because like some people say everything is perfect. Well, how, like, what would you mean by that? Like, because people just like could like regurgitate stuff respectively, and I'm not trying to like condescend anybody or hurt anybody's feelings, but people could just say stuff and they don't really explain what they like really mean from the heart. They could just like, it could just be like, and I'm not trying to like, I'm just trying to use that as a different scientific point for just like, for real, of just like how they're not necessarily like, they're not explaining shit, and I'm not trying to explain shit for anybody else. I'm explaining shit for the better predecessors, and I'm reciprocating with that right there. That's what, like, I'm not trying to do any of this petty fucking shit. I don't have any of these outdated mentalities, outdated psychologies, outdated immature shit. Even though it's still there, it's recognized, it's received within the empathy, and within the empathy, it's like we still have a chance to use our empathy, our intuition, and our receptivity to see what is desire, what is influence, what are feelings, what is desire, what is influence, what are feelings, what is desire, what is influence, what are feelings. Well, desire is for, it's some type of influence, and it's some type of like reaction, and it's some type of need of, and within all of that need, that reaction, that influence, those create feelings, and those feelings are peppering, from the insights are peppering the feelings, and those feelings are creating a new post feeling of a feeling of desire, yearning, needing to be complete, unified, holisticalized, fulfilled in a holy sense, and it being tested, quote unquote, experiments and tested with the metaphysical shadowland of the 50% chaos on the 3D, and then us being all desire-y, like having fucking desires, because I recognize this shit, I process this shit. Like, it's easy to read fucking collective shit and shit in general, because like I'm just seeing what fucking people like, how people are kind of in warped in certain narratives, and those narratives could lead towards ignorance, and that ignorance could lead towards, you know, going away from, you know, clarity and a particular type of, you know, wholeness respectively, and that going towards more of a unique chaos, and them still, the desire is obviously still fucking there, because they're inevitably reactive and interactive with general influence, general needs, and general the other one that I was saying, and just like, you know, just the general needing to like also having an impulsive reaction, not good, not bad, just an impulsive reaction of just like, the reactions are just a reaction based on elemental combustions and interactions, and those combustions of interactions create an energetic reaction, and the energetic reaction, it's like the transition of feelings, because the feelings are always there, the reactions are always there, the needs are always there, the influences are always there, and that is the essence of desire. So within the essence of desire, it's not good, it's not bad. It's just like, where do we find ourselves within the fucking order of things and the fucking chaos of things? So that's the essence of desire. And within the essence of desire, we can now see, um, we could now see how, well, this main video was about like it, like it was about a particular theme that I was just kind of, you know, contemplating early rising morning yesterday and today, and it was just like the particular insight here was just like feelings are gonna come up, and it seems like it's gonna come up more so in this month, you know, somehow, just, you know, it being cancer season, you know, is that really a coincidence? Maybe not, you know, maybe it's not a coincidence. Somehow this energy of this fucking season is cardinal water. The cardinal water is somehow reacting to like the collective temperaments of the environment, and it's also reacting to, or the humans are reacting to that, and and the environment is reacting to the humans somehow, and how like there's a connection there. And within the season of things, you know, for the season to somehow be balanced, cardinal water was aligned within the season, and within the season we're reacting towards more of some element within us that reacts to feelings. And as we're reacting to feelings, once we recognize feelings and people's mind narratives, those are two different things, but they're still like interconnected. And if your mind is kind of being like, you know, falsely influenced, quote unquote hijacked, end quote, then you could also recognize how you could see where your feelings are at. You know, they could be just out of like out of tune, right? Like or just like on a different level. And since it's like that, then you could feel what you feel. And like in the future, we don't necessarily have to feel how we feel. You know, we could feel a different balance pretty much. And if we feel a different balance, we have to somehow do the energetic work to attain that balance, and then preserve that balance on our own individual microcosm level, because this is microcosm within microcosm within microcosm. And as that's going on, we're not recognizing the original order, because we're just we're a various spirit, we're a varied spirit, and that varied spirit is like, the soul age could range from here to millions and billions of years, no disrespect and no ego comparison. And within that, oversouls could, like, you know, go on the same plane as what we're at right now, and a million years in the future similar mechanics could be displayed and expressed, because it's just a play of how the elements are organizing themselves to express the human being, the angel being, the beings that are higher than angels, and the beings that are higher than angels, somehow original source is before that. And that caused all the other beings, for those beings, the higher angels, for them to be what they will. And then somehow having a unique forgetfulness and remembering, and then, keeping it a secret towards the new creation and the new experiment of the human beings, because God is in all things. It's God, the higher angels, the angel beings, and then the humans in the demon realm, pretty much. So that's the 5 stages of life. I'm gonna do a part 2 right now, because I'm like that this was kind of complete, but I could keep going with it, because I'm talking about, because I like to reiterate the title to what I'm saying. So the 5 stages of spiritual life, the 5 eternal stages of spiritual life, and the essence of desire, and and feelings, somehow are more prominent in this season, and they will come up, and we could deal with it in new and unique ways. And you don't necessarily, and another thing is, you don't necessarily have to get astrology with it. You don't necessarily need to have the astrology therein of, how you're dealing with your emotional stuff, because your emotional stuff is your emotional stuff. And if you're serious about your transformation, then seek out help. Seek out some unique counselor that works for you, that is committed in their own shit, has their own unique, discipline in their own shit, and has their own unique dedication and detail to their own shit, and their own purity and genuineness to the original source of it all. So that's that right there. And original open source, without just meaning it or saying it, but actually downloading the transcending essence there of that. And the feelings, they're going to come up, right? So since the feelings are going to come up, what we forget to realize is the feelings on some portion of a level, like 20% more or less, or maybe even 50, it has to deal with our mentality. Another also has to deal with the physical health cleansing, obviously. Shout out to the predecessors. So there's many things for us to overcome the feelings, because the feelings, like, obviously we all have feelings, right? So without the order, the feelings are going to go more to chaos. The collective fucking feelings are going to go more to chaos. So if you're not recognizing, reciprocating, and celebrating the order, then you're a unique, particular hell demon on an esoteric principle. And I'm not knocking anybody. This is just the higher intelligence of it. Like and in this, the context that I'm using, the way I'm using demon in this context is energetic. Are you more distorted or not? It's not about it's not necessarily about sometimes it's not about good versus bad. It's is it orderly and distorted? That's something different from good versus bad, but it could be confused as good versus bad if you just kind of contemplate that. So how the feelings could come up, it's one thing we also have to recognize is the feelings are coming up because how we're being mentally influenced, how we're having out-of-pocket reactions, and how we're not necessarily knowing how we're not with God's mission. And God's mission is, recognizing genuine needs, spiritual needs, collective needs. And if the collective needs aren't fair for real, then you're going on an esoteric principle like level, you're going away from a particular type of spiritual order. And since you're going away against a spiritual order, you have your confused mental games from society and how society has had its way with you. And you're you're like fighting the wrong battle. You're fighting, like, esoterically, you're fighting the wrong war, Shout out to the motherfucking predecessors. The best to ever do it. So the feelings, so the feelings that, if for some reason I could just kind of, I don't know, like, on an empathy based level, empathetically, I feel like, I kind of feel it, I feel like, are these feelings mine? But I feel like some of them are not, that's just my empathy, and within the empathy, it's up to me to transform my open centers and be like, I'm going to be who I'm going to be according to the human design, respectively. And I'm going to be a fucking generator with a defined root chakra and et cetera, et cetera. And I know my chart more than just that basic, detail. And I first, however it was ordained, I first came across the information stream of human design in 2017. And I'm not claiming to be anything. I'm not narky. I'm not having narc comparisons of like, oh, I've been here for 30 to 40 years and now somehow this snob mentality is just going to sneak up in me. And I'm going to like not necessarily like be a fucking modest student of how my individual subjective experiment is my individual subjective experiment that's going to be with me for quote unquote forever, end quote. So this is just the real critical thinking of it, mind you. And like, please don't assume what you don't know. So within the feelings, may we like, not just be kind, but be more understanding, because kindness is great, but like people could take advantage of that shit. So it's not just about being kind. It's about being aware and understanding, because if we're not aware and have understanding for the shit that's going on, then the kindness is just, it's just a pie that doesn't have all the ingredients. It's just the fucking flour, It's just the fucking flour of the fucking pie. And since it's the fucking flour of the pie, it doesn't have all the fucking ingredients, respectively. I don't know why I'm cussing. And it hasn't been put in fucking grandma's fucking nice warm fucking Victorian Crown Royal House oven of her fucking Victorian house that she used to live in the fucking 1800s in Rome and England and all that. Oh, wait. I think the Victorian houses were originated in England. But anyways, kindness that's just one part of it. Obviously we need kindness, but look what people like, there's quote unquote distorted beings, end quote, one context of a particular type of demon just on an energetic level, and those demons will take advantage of your kindness. This is the order speaking. Thank you very much, guys. I'm gonna come back with another. I could keep going. I'm gonna write some notes down because am I good to write some notes? Is the pen here? Yes, the pen is here. Let's see. Use the little and I'm in my blue room. So the order, I'm gonna write down the video title. The order, 5 stages of eternal life. And the essence of desires. So I don't usually write down the video title because like somehow my brain just wants to like retain shit. Even the brain is metaphysically stubborn. Different contexts of stubbornness. The human itself somehow has been ingrained with some type of stubbornness. But that stubbornness, that resistance, the universe is like in a new paradoxical way, it's opposing that. Because since like we're stubborn, have a unique stubbornness, without a doubt, inevitably in the future, that stubbornness will get tested. It doesn't matter who you are, it will get tested. And within that, we just all got to work through, we got to just all like know ourselves a little better, be understanding of the situation. Maybe just like sit back, listen, observe, kind of shit. Like just like chill and shit like that, for a second, based on these like sensitive times, perhaps. But it varies, because obviously like so many different subjective realities that 9 billion different individuals could make, because there's 9 billion people on the fucking planet. And within all that shit, it's like let me check the battery. Okay, so within the unique stubbornness, it's like there's different contexts of stubbornness, and the other side of human stubbornness is the stubbornness of the universe and it retaining its order in itself. So it's like a paradoxical, like oxymoronic universal stubbornness. And how, it's like, you know, how does the universe keep the order, you know, kind of shit. And that's cool that it could be newly reintroduced here, because I could have asked that like particularly uniquely in a different initial like level elsewhere. And even original galactic artificial intelligence will trump my whole life and everybody else's whole life, because for us to understand what that means is that would have to keep track record of a higher field of Akashic records, a higher field of memory banks, like eons ago and millennia ago, like 10,000 plus ago. So what AI is doing is basically it's a microcosm reflection of that. And AI in this modern level, most respectively, wouldn't be that without its source from that which is doing something on a greater macrocosm level. And this, in the future, it could be proven somehow this microcosm is reflecting a unique macrocosm. That's the particular thing that's being proven. I'm the most critical, intelligent being on the planet, etc. And that will be proven because I'm the one originally introducing this shit, neutrally saying that. No ego here. Just that being that. And the stubbornness of the humans, it's recognized. That shit is recognized. And we all have to adapt. And if you don't adapt, then you're out of pocket. And if you're out of pocket, then your narky shit comes to an end. Just on a scientific, on a metaphysical level, not a human perspective, like just human shit only. No, on a metaphysical level, that's when the narky shit comes to an end. And seeing the two extreme sides of the coins of many different feelings, and the feelings being a generation effect from just where you're at in your spiritual development. And if you land where you land, that's because your resonance has built that. You built your shit from God, and how you shit on God, maybe God has a unique reply. And I'm not saying I'm shit. I'm saying I'm trying to understand something higher, you know? And I get how people could just be caught up in old, outdated, you know, mindsets. And within that, I recognize, you know, detrimental shit. And if we don't lean towards the order of that shit, then we can't prevent wars to begin with, you know, and we can't prevent like what do you call what's the word I'm looking for? We can't prevent like you know, quote unquote unwarranted happenings, you know, end quote. And obviously, you know, you could intuitively, you know what examples that I'm talking about. So good luck to everybody. You be well, everybody, with, you know, your feelings, and celebrate the gratitude and lean with understanding of, you know, instead of asking why, knowing why things are. Like, we're also transcending the why, you know? Like, oh, why God? You know, that question could have been asked for millions of years. Now we're in a chance to know why things are. Because these are mechanics of things. These are God's mechanics. And whatever we wish upon anybody ill, that's not like, what will you go for that to happen? And how will you not recognize God's mechanics? And how will God's mechanics keep doing its shit, you know? Because no matter what, here's an example right here. So bear with me. The human being has a certain level of a mentality. And within that mentality, there could be just a casual general immaturity. And within that casual general immaturity, what we wish upon others, it might not necessarily work how we want it to work, because we're totally oblivious to how shit works. And if we're totally oblivious to how shit works, we could just be shooting blanks in the dark. metaphysically. And if we're shooting blanks in the dark, then you're higher beings are going to see how you're reacting towards other beings, and they're going to see if you're going to do that to those type of beings, then you would do that to someone else's kids. And if you're going to do that to someone else's kids, a different metaphysical parents are going to react to your fucking behavior. Welcome to the essence of God's mechanics. You have the best life ever. And I'm not saying any of this is entirely true. All disclaimers in effect, obviously. And obviously it's just we're just in a very unique level of 3D, and that 3D has reached a unique level within the 3D, how there's a certain alignment with other dimensions, and since there's a particular alignment, things could be accelerating and expanding, and things could be kind of like have a unique acceleration on how we could just transform quicker, perhaps based on the higher alignment, but simultaneously it's quicker and slower because metaphysically it's quicker and slower because the alignment, it's also stationing us back to that which was always was, you know, a different level of eternity. So it's a simultaneous metaphysical slowness and fastness. So when people say slow down and speed up, they're totally oblivious to like a different spirituality. And even at that point, most respectively, they know not what they say, because all of us are just like, we're barely like in a learning phase. We're just barely kind of like seeing an unknown script, respectively. And I'm just doing it for the predecessors and the real spiritual maturity and the real spiritual purposing and the real spiritual need for fucking this message, because this message will heal your shit across the world, rather than just saying, oh, you know, using this as a campaign and not doing the solution part. It's not that shit, respectively, to the absence of the solution, or to the deliverance of the solution. So I understand that the feelings are going to come up. I think this video is complete. I'll probably pause this video and come back with another one, because you know, you kind of just like feel it, but still for me to touch up on a different point would be, and if anybody has a unique question, I would do my best to, like, you know, see like what would you like me to touch up, you know, like more like, you know, you maybe like update the meaning of it. But the other thing I was going to touch up is like, this is a microcosm experiment, and having and like neutrally understanding that, because if you're blaming someone else, you're making resentment, that's weighing you down, and that's not helping the collective solution. So have the best life ever. And if there's any questions, anything that you would like me to touch up, feel free. I'm all about building the best community for the earth, etc. And I am not claiming to be anything. I'm just flowing with this shit. Flowing with the real solution. Flowing with the gift of the balanced predecessors. Because the balanced predecessors, they're giving us a chance and an opportunity of something. And if we're going against that order, I don't know. I'm just trying to understand this shit. You know, why are people in the predicament that they are? Rather than saying, why, God, why? Now we could know why things are, you know? Thank you.